想知道流星能飞多久，它的美丽是
Hello, hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Therapy Review. For today's episode, we have with us here another guest speaker, and her name is Katherine Ho. Hello, Katherine. Welcome on to our podcast show. Are you excited to be here?
Yes, thank you, Blue. I'm very excited to be here and very inspired by your platform. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Katherine Ho. I am a Los Angeles-based singer-songwriter. I'm also a second year MPH or Master of Public Health student. So excited to kind of share a little bit about both of those aspects of my identity today.
Ah, that's so exciting. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for introducing yourself. I'm actually like really excited because I read through your little short biography that you sent us, and I'm just like, I'm so ready to ask you
Oh my
questions.
gosh. Thank you for the lovely questions. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
of course. So my first question for you would be your Mandarin cover of Coldplay's Yellow in the movie Crazy Rich Asians garnered a lot of attention. Um, can you share with us how that opportunity came about and what it meant to you as an artist?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so grateful to have been even a small part of Crazy Rich Asians. It was, I think, one of the first Hollywood movies in over 25 years at the time to feature a majority Westernized Asian cast. And so getting to be a part of the film changed my life, not only professionally, but personally too. I
Mhm.
grew up as someone who wasn't always like super embracing of my Asian heritage. I grew up in a predominantly white suburb and kind of had a lot of that internalized embarrassment or racism towards myself growing up. And I think just seeing the movie and seeing people that looked like me on the big screen, it portrayed in such a triumphant and main character way was really transformative for me and my relationship with my Asian identity. I'm so proud to be Asian now in a way that I wasn't growing up. So I guess I kind of flipped the response to your question, but that is like kind of what it meant to me as an artist. And then
Mhm.
how I got the opportunity. So it came about in a very random way. And like, I'm so grateful that all the stars aligned for it. But they were actually looking for, so my cover of Yellow is based on an arrangement sung by a Chinese artist named Li
Mm.
Wenqi, and she performed this cover on The Voice of China. It's a popular reality show. When
Oh.
she was, yeah, when she was performing, and they wanted to get her to sing the song, but I think either she declined the opportunity or there were some logistical concerns with like flying her over to the States to record. But I think quite last minute they were looking for Los Angeles based talent.
Mhm.
And so I did a summer program in high school for a cappella singing, and there was a one of the founders of the camp used to produce and manage for Pentatonics. They're a popular a cappella group. And yeah, so I was always a big fan of Pentatonics. And so I heard about the camp through Pentatonics and
Mm.
did this camp throughout high school. And one of the mentors from my camp reached out to me after I had just graduated high school. So I was a freshman in college, and he asked if I could sing in Mandarin because he knew of at the time it was like an unnamed Mandarin film opportunity. They couldn't really share the details because it was like more NDA at the time.
Mhm.
And it was kind of random, but I was like, yeah, like I grew up like doing Chinese school and I sing in Mandarin. So I auditioned through him, and like it was really crazy because I remember they needed me to like submit a demo of the song within like 24 hours. And I was like a pre-med college student at the time. So I was like, yeah, like on the phone with my dad really late. Like he was helping language coach me and things like that. So I
Mhm.
submitted my audition and they liked me. I think the next week they had me come and record in the studio and they told me what the project was for. And I freaked out because like I'm a big fan of Constance Wu, and like I didn't know much about the movie at the time, but I knew that she was starring in it. So yeah, it was just like a kind of like serendipitous audition that kind of came into my life through an unexpected way. And I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities that have come from it.
I love that. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity
Yeah,
sort of thing. And then,
definitely.
yeah, and you just like went for it. And that's so good for you. Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, my next question for you would be, you know, you're a musical artist, and your music often explores themes of self-discovery, nostalgia, and coming of age. Could you tell us about the personal experiences or inspirations that drive your songwriting?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I am someone that is a very personal songwriter. Like I have trouble writing about, I've tried this in the past, but like writing about experiences that are not my own. And I think that is a very valuable skill that I hope to develop one day. But I'm a very personal writer, so anything I release is based in like a specific experience that I had. I like to keep like I have this huge Google Doc that's just like my diary basically where I just kind of rant and I definitely draw most of my songwriting from like personal experience, either with like romance. I'm a very like hopeless romantic person, like
Oh, that's so
Swift is a big,
cute.
yeah, she's always been a big influence. So I definitely write a lot about romance. I think also I've always just been like very inspired by the genre of coming of age. And like I think I thought about that a lot, like going through my own coming of age. So I think that is like a theme, like self-discovery and like learning to be more confident in my own skin. It's like honestly still an ongoing process. So I use my songwriting to explore that. And yeah, recently I also got to be a part of this very meaningful project called the Shoes Off Project. And it was specifically a compilation album with AAPI musicians, and we wrote original songs about various aspects of our AAPI identity. And my song that I contributed was kind of about the imposter syndrome I sometimes felt growing up as a child of immigrants and kind of feeling like so grateful for the sacrifices that my parents made to give me the life that I have, but also in a way it's kind of like a pressure too because you want to make the most of the sacrifices that your family has made for you. And so
Right.
yeah, like I think it that was like my first time really writing about like directly about my Asian American identity. So I was really proud of that project as well.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's like you use music as, I guess, a way to like journaling
Oh, for
almost.
sure. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a diary of like a artistic diary.
I love that. That's awesome. My next question for you would be, your recent releases have been featured on popular Spotify editorial playlists. How has that particular exposure impact your musical journey and audience engagement?
Yeah, definitely. So as I kind of alluded to in the last question, I've always grown up and I still have a lot of imposter syndrome. I always kind of feel like, oh, like I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I probably shouldn't. So I've actually loved writing songs ever since I was like 11 or 12 years old, but I was always very hesitant to share that part of my identity. I just felt like, oh, like, people know me for the cover from Crazy Rich Asians. Like, know if they would really care about my original music, but because of like a lot of supportive professional mentors and my family and my friends, I decided in late 2022, so last year, to start releasing my original music. And I kind of did it without any expectations, just like wanting to take this step in my own personal artistic journey. But I think getting it on the playlist was like this validation that I did not expect at all. And I'm so
Right?
grateful for. And I think it encouraged me to like want to share more of my work. And I know that I don't necessarily need that external validation and it's not like the end all be all, but I'm definitely super grateful. I think it gave me more confidence as a songwriter and just inspired me to write more and more.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, we love exposure and also like I think a confidence level too. That's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, so my next question, can you share any upcoming projects or musical endeavors that you're currently working on or excited about?
Yeah, for sure. So I am working on new original music. Don't have like a set time to release that yet, but I hope to put out an EP or extended play. It's kind of like a mini album. By my goal, I'm targeting is like next spring/summer. So working on that, which I'm really excited for. It'll be like my first kind of consolidated body of work. I've released a couple singles, but that is something that I am really excited to be working on. And in terms of like more immediate future, definitely have some exciting performances and collaborations lined up in the next month or two. One that I'm really excited about is I'm based in LA, but I will be going to perform in New York in November for an organization called Plate by Plate, or their organization is called Project by Project, but the event is called Plate by Plate. And it's a really interesting concept. It's a tasting benefit. So they partner with top chefs and like famous local restaurants in the New York City area. And then all the money that they make from this event is going towards a social justice issue in the Asian American community. And this year they're focusing on educational access. So I think it's really cool how, yeah, they get to kind of put on this really fun event, but it's like for a really great cause too at the end of the day. And I've always loved traveling to perform. It's like my favorite thing is definitely like live performance and feeling the energy of the crowd in person. So I'm really excited for that event. And if anyone listening is based in New York, definitely check out the tickets for the event.
Oh my gosh, exciting. Oh my goodness. All right. Yes, I will definitely look into that. And for all my viewers out there, definitely look into that as well, because that sounds super exciting. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So you mentioned earlier that you have an academic background in health and human biology, and you're currently pursuing a Master of Public Health at USC. And that's really fascinating. How do you see the intersection of entertainment and community health, and what inspired you to explore that crossover?
Yeah, definitely. I would say like a few years ago, I didn't even really know what public health was. I kind of stumbled into it because I had heard about the term through actually like one of my mom's coworkers recommended that I check it out because my mom had shared with her like all these different interests that I had. And I was really drawn to public health because it was such an interdisciplinary field. And what specifically drew me into it, I think it definitely ties back to my involvement in the Crazy Rich Asians film. As I was kind of mentioning earlier, there was a lot of political significance for the AAPI community and entertainment because of the movie. And I think naturally, just by being a part of this movie, a lot of the invitations and musical collaborations I took part in after the movie was with organizations in the AAPI community that highlight Asian American culture and uplift and highlight social justice issues within the community. So
Mhm.
I think getting to attend these events and perform at these events also gave me a lot of insight into how these organizations were operating, and it heightened my awareness of social justice issues and health equity issues in the AAPI community. It also showed me how a lot of these organizations were partnering with influencers or activists and singers and musicians to spread their awareness. And so I think that my experiences there have really encouraged me to think about how I can combine my passion for healthcare, which I studied in college, with my interest in like the community building advocacy side of things as a musician.
Mm. Mhm.
And yeah, I think more broadly, I think entertainment and media is such a powerful way to communicate with people and spread awareness and messaging. And in public health, like that's like a really big part of how to keep communities healthy is to make people aware of issues and how they can protect themselves and stay healthy and things like that. And so I think, yeah, entertainment has a really valuable role, I think, within public health that I'd love to see more and more as I go throughout my career.
That's awesome. Could you tell us a little bit more about your involvement with organizations dedicated to advancing social justice in the AAPI community and how that activism ties into your music and studies? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it's definitely a field that I don't claim to be like an expert. Like I do not feel like I have done enough work to be considered an like a musical activist by any means, but I have so
Mhm.
much respect for people that do really dedicate their careers to that intersection of music and activism. And I hope to be among them throughout my career and be more and more like them. But specific organizations that I can pinpoint that really inspired me to like pursue public health and think about that intersection between healthcare and music. One is called Hate is a Virus, and they were founded during the pandemic to raise awareness about the anti-Asian hate crimes that saw an uptick during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I was able to sing for their some of their events and also like attend some of their events as an attendee too. And it was really inspiring to see how they leveraged social media and also partnerships with activists and entertainers to spread important awareness and also raise money for really important issues within the Asian American community. So yeah, and then I guess more recently, I've also been involved in some events that have been raising awareness on mental health in the Asian American community. And I know that's a central initiative for this podcast as well. And Asian American mental health is something that's so dear to myself as well as I have personally struggled with mental health and have really benefited from seeking help. And so I've also like spoken about that side of my identity at various events that I've also been a singer at. So it's been cool to see like interesting crossovers in that aspect as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Balancing music and academia can also be challenging. How do you manage your time and creative energy between your music career and then pursuing your Master of Public Health?
Yeah, so I honestly am still trying to figure out the balance. And I definitely feel like there have been days where I feel kind of overwhelmed or feeling like I have to focus on a certain thing for that day and like not get to the other thing. But yeah, one thing that does help is I feel like they are kind of like two different sides of my brain. So sometimes it feels refreshing to like switch over to the other after having been like really in the details of the other path. So I think that's been like a good way to keep balance. But yeah, I've definitely had to like, do homework and study for things like as I'm flying to a gig or things like that. So I definitely have not mastered the time management thing. But yeah, it's something that I still feel like I want to find a balance with. But right now I feel very grateful that I get to fully explore both sides. I think there's definitely been a lot of imposter syndrome of like, oh, am I a real musician if I'm also doing this other career? Or like, am I really a public health professional if I'm also doing music? So that is something I've definitely struggled with. But I think what's helped is talking to people about these experiences, talking to mentors, and like having them assure me that it's like more than okay to explore all of my passions.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And in addition to like your musical career, your music has a strong emotional and cultural resonance. How do you approach creating music that resonates with both personal experiences and broader cultural themes?
Yeah, again, that is something I'm also trying to find the intersection of fully. But I think one thing that has been really influential in that is once again, like getting to sing for the Crazy Rich Asian soundtrack. So the
Mhm.
song that I sang was a cover of Coldplay's Yellow, but it was a Mandarin rendition. And so I felt really honored when people said things like, oh, this was like the first time I heard Mandarin and I thought it was beautiful. And I thought like very empowered by that, especially as someone who, as I was mentioning earlier, I didn't always grow up with so much pride in who I was. So I definitely want like the cultural pride aspect to be a part of my music and my identity. But yeah, in terms of like how I incorporate that, I've done a lot of other covers of like popular American songs in Mandarin, and that's been really fun. And I've also started doing kind of like cross-cultural mashups of like taking songs that I love. Like I'm a big Taylor Swift fan, so I have this series on my Instagram that's like mashups for like Mandarin pop loving Swifties. So trying to combine those aspects of my identity. But yeah, I think ultimately a long-term goal of mine would be to like release original music that's like both in English and in Mandarin. And yeah, it's like something definitely top of mind. And I want to like keep that as a central part of my artistic identity.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I think I've seen a couple of your mashups as well on social media, and I thought they were really good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. And as an independent artist, what advice do you have for emerging musicians looking to establish themselves in the industry and find their unique musical path?
Yeah. Once again, I feel like I'm prefacing with a lot of these questions, but that is also something I'm still figuring out. So I am still like asking of my mentors the same advice. It definitely is like really tough being an independent artist these days. I feel like you kind of have to wear all the different hats. So like not only focus on making the music, but like making social media content, like being your own PR and press and like being like a content creator and like managing
Yeah.
the side. So it's definitely a lot to juggle. But yeah, I guess one thing that is really great about that is because like you have to wear so many hats now. I think independent artists are like much more powerful today than they used to. Like I think like when I was growing up, you really had to be like assigned, you had to have like be signed with a label to like really have a viable career in music. But these days you can really like start from nothing. Like you can just have a tripod in your room. And you can produce songs, entire songs, and mix and master songs like on your
Yeah.
laptop. So I think the accessibility of it all is like what I would encourage independent artists to take advantage of. Like, don't feel like you have to wait for like knowing the right people. Like you can create your own success. It's definitely like hard, and I'm still figuring it out myself. But that would be my advice, just to get started, and that you have a lot more power than you think.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what are, I think you might have already answered part of this question, but what are some of your long-term goals and aspirations, both in your music career and in your pursuits in public health and social justice?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of music, one kind of long-term goal that I have is, as I was mentioning, the EP that I want to put out.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think like I've just always loved writing original music, but have felt like kind of scared or hesitant to put it out. As most people that follow me know me more for my covers. So I'm really excited to put out a body of work that's like my own original music. Ultimately, like live performance is one of my favorite aspects of being a musician. So love to just like have an opportunity to tour one day. That would be really fun. And then yeah, in my public health career, most of the experiences that I've had so far are kind of like around like either research or healthcare management. And so I'm not sure exactly like what I want to do long term with public health yet, but like definitely something that so far, right now, if you were to ask me, some kind of role within healthcare management slash research, and something that deals with health equity and reducing health disparities, would love to incorporate that into my work as well.
I love that. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. And can you also share any of your memorable moments or stories from your musical journey that have left a lasting impact on you personally?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been really touched and blown away by the responses to my Mandarin cover of Yellow from Crazy Rich Asians. I felt really touched by comments saying that it was like the first time. There was one in specific. I think it was, they said that in their 26 years of life, this was the first time that they heard Mandarin and actually thought it was beautiful. And I think that really struck a tone with me because of like my own upbringing. And I feel like I didn't always feel proud of that growing up. And so if my music was able to like contribute to that self-love, I feel like I just feel really happy about that. And in general, I've been really honored at the ways that other people have wanted the song to be a part of their lives. I've sung Yellow, I've been invited to sing Yellow at people's weddings, to like walk the bride down the aisle, or even like memorial services and like celebrations. I just feel very honored that the song that I got to record meant so much to someone that they wanted it to be a part of a very special day in their lives. So very grateful, and I try to remind myself of like how how excited like younger me would be when if like I got to do all of these things whenever I'm doubting myself and things like that.
Wow, that must have been such a journey for you just to like go from how you were when you were younger and all the way up to now, and you're just doing all these things to contribute to the community. And I just think that's so cool.
Oh, thank you. You're so
And then I think this will be our last question for today's episode. Are there any artists, musicians, or activists who have been particularly influential in shaping your artistic and advocacy endeavors?
Yeah, I have so many role models, and I would be here all day if I kind of like listed them all. But I guess in terms of like artistic inspirations. I grew up loving Taylor Swift, and she's such a big inspiration to me still. So definitely like her musical style very much influenced like how I want to be as an artist. Like I love her lyrics, and I think because of loving her, I just like lyrics are like a big part of my songwriting these days. And I also really love Lauv. He is someone that was just like the soundtrack of my college years. And I think like I feel like I really like became when I was like really finding who I was. I
Mhm.
listened to his music a lot, and I think he is able to really put very like deep concepts into simple and catchy pop melodies in like a very precise but like meaningful way. So I love him. I love Taylor Swift, and I'm also very inspired by like the rising generation of AAPI artists.
Mhm.
I love like Nikki, Ma, Catherine Lee, Lynn Lapid. Like I feel like growing up, I didn't feel like there was a lot of Asian American women that I could look up to on radio and things like that. And to see this new generation like having those amazing AAPI artists is like really exciting to me. And like I feel very inspired by it. And then in terms of like the advocacy side, I think I mentioned previously, but Hate is a Virus specifically, and another organization that I've sung for, Act to Change as well. These organizations have really impacted my decision to want to pursue an interdisciplinary field like public health because I think they are social justice organizations that really try to partner with community members and like other entertainers. And I've had like specific mentors at these organizations that I've talked to also about like how I have these two very seemingly very different passions, but like how I could maybe combine them. And so I think having that like personal mentorship has also been really impactful for me.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, we're actually almost nearing our conclusion of today's episode. Are there any final thoughts, words, or advice that you'd like to share with our viewers before we conclude?
Yeah, I think I got to cover a lot of ground. So thank you, Blue, for being such a great interviewer. And thank you for using your platform to uplift AAPI voices on important topics. And I look forward to watching your future episodes. And I feel very honored to have been a part of this.
Yes, of course. It was no problem, absolutely, at all. Like, I honestly enjoyed interviewing and getting to know you as, a musical artist, and an independent one too. And it's just, I don't know, I think this is like one of my first times interviewing someone of a celebrity status,
Oh
kind
my
of.
gosh, not at all. I'm not a celebrity, but thank you. I really appreciate and like thank you for all the thoughtful questions. They were really, I feel like I rarely get to dive into like both sides of what I do. So I think
Yeah,
really
of
special. Thank
course.
you for having me.
Yes, no problem. Well, that's all for today's therapy reveal. And make sure to tune in every week. We have a new episode coming out. And yeah, anything else that you'd like to say before we end?
No, I think that's good. Thank you.
All
And
right.
love chatting today.
Okay, no problem. Well, until next time, I see you all in the next episode. This was Katherine Ho, and it was awesome getting to talk to her, get to know her, and I look forward to possibly having her on a future episode later down the road. Who knows?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
你只有大